everyone. This is the Viper Professional Training and Support webinar. Today's date is May the 1st, 2023. This is a Monday night webinar, and the title of tonight's webinar is Long and Short Lines, Aggressive and Conservative. And as everyone knows that's been to our webinars or our live trading room, everything that we say and do at Viper Trading Systems is for educational purposes only. Futures trading, Forex trading, any kind of financial instruments trading involves risk. Therefore, there's always risk of loss. You should only trade discretionary capital, and that is money that you can afford to lose. Nothing said in this webinar. Other webinars I have, live trading room or anything else with Viper Trading Systems, should ever be construed as trading or investment advice. And as always, everyone does trade at their own sole discretion. Any questions on the disclaimer? All right. I don't see any, so let me get one other chart up here real quick. I'm going to go ahead and bring up one of the webinar type charts. All right, you should be able to see it on your screen. Okay, now tonight we're going to talk about long and short lines, and we're going to talk about the aggressive way to trade them and also more of a conservative way to trade them. The main thing is, regardless how you trade, wait for the trade to come to you is the most important, okay? It's extremely important that you do it just that way, okay? So let's look at this little chart right here, but let's go back a ways. Let's just go back to like midnight, mainly where the new month began. Let's just look at this just real quick. You want to see what I'm talking about? All right. This is what I look at. And by the way, a lot of people have really trained their mind to see these without drawing them. But you can also draw them too, because you can clearly see where your long short lines are if you simply look at these swings. Okay? Long short lines are simply, if you draw a line on your chart, you're looking for shorts underneath it and you're looking for longs above it. Okay? And it's really not even like rocket science to try to figure it out either. You know, looking at this chart right here, I could tell you that you've got, you know, high here, a low here, lower high, higher low, barely higher high. So you start your count again. See there, double top. So now you go thrust, retrace. All right. So isn't this like 1, 2, 3? So basically what you're looking at, if this was to break, now we don't know if it's going to, but this is the way you draw this in your head, okay? And you draw it on your charts if you want to too. All right, you've got a thrust down and a retrace. Now we know by looking at this right now that this has at least come down to here, right? So we can draw this, okay? Now that's your, what I consider your conservative, okay? Now, if you got to your computer last night, Sunday night, and you said, okay, April 30th, I'm going to trade you, what would you be looking for on this particular chart? Anybody? Because it's right in front of you. Oh, by the way, James, I saw you ask, will the next release support playback mode? Yes. Any more thoughts on having audible alerts, warnings of pending indicators? Well, the alerts will do audio if you download some of those WAV files. We don't have it where it does individual. I'd like to actually add that to alerts, but you know, the more we add to Object Trader and indicators, the slower it makes Ninja. Okay, yeah, see, basically right now, if you look, for instance, and you said, okay, you're looking to me like if you break. Now, what I do is I like to draw my charts, okay? And this is what I'm seeing right now, right here, okay? And I'm seeing this right here, all right? So I'm thinking if this is going to head up, they're going to do some kind of a bounce and start stair-stepping back up. Now, if they did, okay, and you saw that you're hitting support here, then that could be a very good trade. And you even have what's called the lightning like 1, to give an example. Now, this would be more of an aggressive type of a trade, okay? Now see how this is starting to break so far? You've got even a lower high here. We knew that even before we saw this break right here, we knew that this was a lower high. You had a high, you have a low, lower high, same low basically. You know, it's one tick difference. So I don't really care when it does that. So then start your count again. High, low, lower high, and now you're getting a lower low. So is this area right here your line in the sand long short? Anybody? Yes. And several of you got it, by the way. That's good because, you know, the whole thing is that if you can see this in real time, now granted, on April 30th at 5 p.m. Central Time, you didn't want to short this right away, okay? Because we're talking about, like, let's say they break and then they come back, you know, real quick or something like that. You don't want to trade that first couple of minutes, maybe even 3 or 4 minutes a lot of times. You want to kind of let it move around just a little bit, okay? But this is telling you right here and right now that you're looking for a retrace. It's that simple, okay? Now, it's breaking down, right? But since we're retracement traders, we're going to actually look for some kind of a retracement up to one of these swings. So I would simply be looking for a retracement like up to here. See that little swing there? Or even this little swing right here for a rollover, okay? So you got a swing there, this resistance, swing there, this resistance. Now this is a little bit more the aggressive, but you're looking to see, okay, are they going to break this? Is this going to be a fake? Or are they going to actually change trends? Okay, well, they've already changed trends. You got a high, got a low, you got a lower high, lower low, just barely the same. I still consider that still a high, a low, a lower high, and for sure over here is a lower low. Okay, so now what you want to do is you want to go to your regular chart. Okay, because you can't really tell by this exactly where to get in, but with our scripts and everything, you can come awful close. Okay, and that's the important part. So let's just leave these little lines here just for the fun of it, okay? And we're going to see if it comes back and hits one of these areas that we can actually get in this trade. And what direction will we be looking? Anybody? What direction, as the market opened last night, would you be looking to trade? You'd be looking short. Yeah, okay? You can clearly see that by high, low, lower high, same low, high, low, lower high, lower low, even though it retraced a little bit, okay? But that's still a lower high than that, see? So you're looking for a retrace. So let's go ahead and put a template on this chart called Object Trader NT8. And we're going to see what the chart is looking like at that time, okay? Now, this is where we're at right now, okay? We just drew on our charts. You can clearly see it's still drawn, okay? Now, our scripts are very, very good at sensing trend changes. Now, sometimes you got to trade against it, okay? But keep in mind that most times it will get that trend change. See that mid band right there crooking down like that? So what are we looking for? Anybody? We're looking for a retracement. So what do? We draw our mid band. So I'm going to draw a line at mid band right about there. That's 65. That would be a pretty good area for it to pull back to. Let's also check our Fibonacci and see where it might head up, or head to, I mean. All right, so let's see here. That's 61.8% too. That's mid-band is 61.8 if it pulls back that far. Okay, and let's see if we've got another swing. We need to stay below. You can clearly see you've got a high, low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower lows, right? So this thrust retrace, you definitely need to stay under this for it to head down, okay? This is resistance right here to the left, and that's actually at 61.8. So that's pretty much where I would put my little trade on that particular chart right there. Okay. Now, we've got the tools that you can actually trade that too. Okay. Like for instance, you could simply turn on Object Trader's auto region and, you know, just don't turn it on yet as far as the trade goes, but let it stair step back up and do a retracement and then turn it on. Would you have taken this trade before the pullback, like around mid-band? Well, Deb, with that being only 2 minutes after, I don't normally know. I mean, I very seldom ever trade on Sunday night to begin with because, you know, church is like 58 minutes from this time to begin with, and you might get in a trade and, you know, have to watch it all night because it gets kind of slow sometimes. But what I do is diagnose my charts just like I do in the room. And I'm going to be looking for that trade right in this little area because we've already drawn it on the chart, didn't we? Okay, we know where these swings are. Just watch, just draw that. See that right there? Now that's not even a little swing there. Let's go to lightning 1 instead. Bear with me a second. We'll go with lightning 1. And see, that is a little swing right there. So basically you've got a little area right there at 66 is a swing, and right here at like 65. Okay, you can't take out 77 or they're not heading down. Okay, and like I said, this is pretty close to the open. But always keep in mind when you get a stair-stepping midband, okay, when it stair steps and you start breaking support areas, which we clearly identified on our chart, see where it kind of broke down right at the open of the market yesterday, then you are looking for a short trade in this particular case. Okay, so let's see if we can tell when it retraces enough, and we draw our Fibonacci's on our charts too, right? Okay, this small of a move, I don't like less than 50, and I like 61 to even 70%, which will be roughly about in this area here. Okay, simply because when you get these small thrusts like this, you want at least a deep pullback of at least 50 and hopefully 61 and hopefully sometimes even a little higher than that. But since we actually watch for rollovers, we're going to catch the rollover regardless. Okay, so let's see what it does. I'm going to just go like a bar at a time. Let's see if we can make it do it. Hopefully I can make this do this. I could have sworn that's what it takes to move the chart here. Bear with me a second. That's just changing. They've taken that feature away on Ninja this year. Well, we'll just do it. We'll just move it a little bit at a time. All right, there's a bar. It's not quite, that's not good enough in my personal opinion, 38%. Plus, you've literally got resistance right up here. See right here where this line's at. So that's going to be close to 50. So let's see what it does. A bar up. Not quite at 50. There's a bar up. That little bar is trying to roll over, by the way. Let's see if it goes any higher. Yeah, you usually click the right arrow to advance one bar at a time, and I did try that. Oh, it is doing it now. I must have had something else punched. Okay, now this to me is the entry. See how that rolled over right there? We drew on our chart. This is a mid-band trade. I would box this in. Bias is clearly to the downside, and see if we can get a trade. Okay, you're in it. See how you can diagnose that ahead of time like that? Okay, just draw your fibs on your charts. Draw your lines on your charts where your resistance is, and draw your lines where they're going to change trends totally too, because if they were to decide to break up instead of down, we'd be waiting for a thrust up and a pullback. So we're in the trade at like 65, maybe 64. Okay, so let's see if it pays off. Now there's about a 10 tick move right there. That's good enough for a scalp, don't you think? Okay. Now, does everybody see how you can tell where these long short lines are if you draw them on your charts? Because I'll show you several more of them. Now, let me ask you a quick question. Are you looking for any longs right now? Yes or no? Anybody? No, no, because you're clearly rolling over at a mid-band. That's a perfect classic mid-band trade. First time after trend change. And you can draw on your charts and you can see, where your next level. What if you missed this right here? Where do you think you would actually look if you missed this trade right here? Because if you draw on your charts, you're going to see it. Okay, now will they come exactly to it? Not necessarily, but they will come to a little region box. Okay, so let's see, let's look to the left to trade the right. Okay, you've got swing right down here. That would pretty much change the trend totally on the big move. Okay, so let's see if you could tell where you could get back in this trade. What does anybody think? You want to try to see if you can get back in the trade if you missed it entirely? Okay, let's see if we can. I'm going to draw my charts. First, we need to take this out for us to look for a second mid-band trade. So let's see if it does. It's taking it out. Little retrace. And that looks like pretty decent little trade. Now that's coming back right now with a little bit of a pullback. Why would you look at 76.59 if you missed the trade? Well, if you actually look to the left to trade the right, you could look at 59, okay? Because it can't take this out right here, okay? Because if it comes up above this, it's going to head back up. Okay, so let's draw on our chart. We've also got 50. Is that 50? That's so hard to see with those predictors, but let's draw it again right there. And let's see what this does. There's a good place to take some coin, by the way, right down there at my line. Now, let me ask you a question. If you're trading like this, can you clearly see that you could stay in this trade? Anybody? Absolutely. Let's see how far it does go. Touched my line, even took it out. All right, where would your stop be if they bounced here? Anybody? Anybody? Well, you've got a high, low, lower high, lower low. Now over here, you've got a low, high, little higher low, but took it out, right? So I see it pretty much right across there. Okay, that should hold on a pullback. Yeah, like even line 2 to give an example. Let's see if it rolls over. See how beautiful you can stay in that? Let's get rid of lightning 1 so you don't get confused. All right, now where would your stop be? Anybody? Because it's very important on your stop too, especially if you're going to trade something like Apex, because during that first funding or first evaluation, even Lilu or whoever out there, they're going to watch your pullbacks. They're going to definitely watch your pullbacks. Okay, so now you have a low, you have a high, same low, so low, high, lower low, lower high, lower low. So this would pretty much be that area right there that you might want to protect just in case, because even one contract, okay, if you go from 20 to 33, you're giving up 130 bucks per contract. Okay, so it's really important to stair step these things down. Okay, so you're lightning now. Would there be any reason to get out of this trade? Yes or no? No, because your stop could be at 33, right? And you could put it just a tad above, because they'll sometimes wick them. Just put it a tad above, because usually they won't close above it. They'll wick it and then they'll roll over again. Okay, let's see what they do. Where's your stop now? You put it a tab below, James. I agree. Like right now, for instance, this trade, see, you've got a low, you've got a high, you've got a lower low, lower high, lower low again. So your stop could literally be right there at 24. Yeah, you could absolutely put your stop right there. Let's see what it does now. That stop right there, way up there at 25. What do you want to do? You got to make a decision. It's taking out resistance right there. See it? Usually they'll kiss resistance instead. Yeah, you could be out of that trade if you want to be, because you're clearly bouncing off of a bottom somehow, because you can just tell what they're doing. You got a low, a high, a lower low, and they're taking that out. Clearly, this would be your out for sure if you're going to hold for a gusto. And if you're going to hold for a real gusto trade, you can actually even hold with your actual ABC type swing. Okay, see what I mean? ABC. If you put a stop like above that ABC right there at 34, more than likely they're not going to take you out. Now, I'm not promising you that, but I've seen it so many thousands of times, it's unreal. ABC, they hold it. Then they go ABC. Do they take this out? Probably. The way they're heading, they might. Okay. You could always also, you could actually put your stop at like line 2. Notice how line 2 is held this whole time. See how line 2 is holding right here? So you could actually put your stop right there, and they just closed above it, so you could be out. Diane, I'm not following you. You're saying fix the chart, or you're seeing it, right? You're seeing the chart, right? Okay. Now let's look and see where they haven't checked yet. Okay. Oh, okay, you can now. All right, let's look A, B, C. So they can't take this out if they're going to head down, right? A, B, C, they can't take that out. Now look to the left to trade the right and get as close to mid-band as possible. And we'll draw a line right at mid-band, and we'll see where our swings are according to mid-band. There's one right there. See it? And they haven't checked it. They checked a little higher, so they haven't checked that. See, always look to the left to trade the right. You expect this to be a lower high if it's going to roll over than your A, B, C type move, okay? But you can get out of this trade, like right now, you could be out of this trade because it is going above line 2, okay? But if I got out of that trade, I'd be looking for another one right there. Let's see what happens. So we're out. We closed above line 2. See it? You can clearly see we closed above line 2. Okay, you could even draw a trend line. Draw a trend line through your last 2 highs. And that's even taking out that trend line. Okay, so that's usually pretty good area to get out of this trade. Okay, because you're actually breaking a trend line. Okay, always draw your trend lines too. You'll be amazed. You know, draw it from here to the next one, then from here to the next one, and so on, like we're doing right here. And sometimes they'll fake you out too. But always look to the left to trade the right and see where your swings are too. Because you kind of expected this to be hit and this to be hit, and it looks like they took it out. Okay. Now let's diagnose this chart and see where would be a trend change. Does anybody see a trend change if it was to happen? Now, I'm not saying it's going to happen, but you've got to always look at your charts and see where it could change trends if it decides to. Okay. Now, we like to look at about this line 5 area right here. Okay. If it breaks up above here, breaks up and comes back and kisses, you could very well be changing trends. You got a high, low, lower, high, lower, low. That's ABC type move. You killed your line 2, so you're flat. Let's see what happens. And we've drawn on our chart, and if you don't see this real quick, let me show you on the black chart, because sometimes it takes looking at that chart to see this a little more clear. And I'll go ahead and do a black chart. We already changed that one, so we can't use it right now. All right, bear with me a second. And I'm going to go back to 7 o'clock. Hide predictors. Bear with me a second. I'll show you this in just a second. We got to go back to where we were, though. We're at like 7 o'clock at night. Okay, let me show you again. All right, so we had a low of 76.06 right there, okay? We said like an ABC. Let's see if we can draw an ABC first, okay? Let's draw it from here. So you've got an ABC there, but then you've got your ABC here, ABC. So really, if they were to come back on this trade right here, I would not expect them to take out this swing right here. So let's draw a line there and see if they do. Right across that swing. I don't think they would take that out. You got a low, you got a high, you got a lower low. That's a lightning 3, by the way. Let's go ahead and turn on lightning 3. See if we can get a lightning 3. There we go. All right, so you have a high, you have a low, you have a lower high, lower low. So if this was to change trends, you can clearly see on this chart that they would be taking out 29 to head up. Everybody see that? So you're drawing on your chart and you're saying, okay, if you break 29 and hold it on a pullback, then I'm going to go long on you, okay? But you're not going long yet because you're still heading down, okay? But now you know when you look at these ABC type moves and like even ABC like here, they shouldn't really take this out, but when they're really close like this, I always draw on my chart and I'll pretty much put a line there also, okay? Because they can wick them, okay? 29, basically, oh, you mean if it broke up? That would be aggressive. Because what you want it to do if it's going to break up, it needs to do this. It needs to see, and it's not doing it obviously yet. But let's say that this never happened here and this was to have broken up and then hit like resistance here and then come back and checked this or even a little bit lower, for instance, and then popped above it. These are some of my favorite trades. We call them in the room all the time because that's probably more than likely line 5. Okay, but this isn't what is happening though. You're getting a, you know, you're still heading down. Okay, so but this would be your line in the sand long short if they were to break up. Okay, they haven't done that yet. Okay, so when we diagnose our charts, we're going to simply look to the left to trade the right, and we can see that they should not take out this 20 area if they're going to head down. Okay, now can they wick it? Absolutely. So we've kind of drawn an area. This is an area to me that I would not want to go above, but I would definitely, if this is around a mid band, which we'll find out in a minute, I would short that if it comes back into it and rolls out. Okay. Everybody sees that, right? Let's go ahead and go back to the template again. And bear with me a second because you don't want to see all the way back here. You want to go back to 7 o'clock last night. Ninja needs to actually do something like that to where you can actually, you know, be playing with your charts or whatever and go back, you know, rather than having to go all the way through this deal. Anyway, let's go ahead and go back because bear with me a second, you're not seeing anything. The reason for that is because I want you to see this like in real time. Here we go, April 30th, all right. All right, so let's look to the left to trade the right. Okay, we drew our line on our chart, right? We've got our little ABC type move. So usually they don't want to take those out. Now, sometimes it can be A, B, C, D, E, which you could say, okay, resistance is way up here. But what I look at when I'm trading is that if they go that much above that mid band, then they're probably not going to be heading down anymore. So I pretty much go with the ABC. See, so to me right here, you shouldn't be able to take this area out right here if you're going to head to the downside. Everybody sees that, right? Very important to see this, because when you're trading, now by the way, if you got this trade and you got all the way down to 76.06 and you got stopped out at line 2, you could quit for the evening. That's $1,000 trade if you were doing 2 contracts, right? Okay, let's see. If multiple contracts peel off some, and the pullback might keep me in longer, but with Apex, you have to watch the drawdowns. That's exactly right. Now, once you get past on the funded account, you don't have to worry about it as much, but I highly recommend going like way past it. You know, to give an example, on an Apex account that's funded, if you get above $3,100, 53,100 that is, then your drawdown then is 3,000 even. So if you get to like 55, your drawdown's 49. If you get to 56, your drawdown's 59, and that's comfortable. Okay, you get to 7,000, your drawdown's 6,900. That's real comfortable. Okay, and to me, it's important that you get to those areas, because anytime you got that $2,500 drawdown, you don't want to do a lot of multiple contracts with pullbacks, because you've seen oil, for instance, just move quickly. Okay, so if it moves quickly, you want to be careful. Okay, let's see if we can draw on this chart and see where this should hit its head. I draw on my charts. Okay, so anywhere in this little sweet spot right here, to me, is a good trade. Okay, now I like to check my fibs, so let's check our fib from here. Ah, come on, don't you do that to me. Here we go. Let me just bring that down just a little bit further. That's actually all right. Okay, so that's 38%, that's 50. They'd be breaking my ABC, so I'd still go in this little area right here. So if it comes in that 38, we'll take it if it rolls out of it. Okay, and the reason for that is because, see, when you look at your mid-band trade and a 38%, that's not my favorite, because I like to get a 50 on that, but that's a pretty good move. That's not like your short one a little while ago. Remember, this first trade was from like here to here or here to here, and we went for the 50 and 61. Remember, above 50 to 61. This is a pretty good little thrust. So 38 to 50 is pretty good, plus mid-band stair stepping. Okay. Now, keep in mind though, the way we trade. Okay, we're not going to just say, okay, short 4 contracts at 76.30. Okay, we're not going to do that, because what if it went up through 76.30 and decided then to roll over like at a phantom? Okay, so what we want to do is we want to actually get a box. Okay, so let's see what it does. Now we're not going unless it gets at least to that 38. Not a chance. Okay, they'll fake you real bad if you do this. Okay, when you get a thrust down like that, you want to get a decent Fibonacci. Okay, I don't care if it actually hits a predictor and rolls over, and that's fine if you want to take this trade here. Okay, this is a predictor trade, and it did hold resistance to the left. See it right there? That's just more of an iffy trade. Okay, you want to take it anyway? All right, it's at a predictor, so we're in at 21. Okay, let's just see if it works. See, that's a better trade there. That's getting awful close to that 38%. Now, will they go to the 38? Not necessarily. That seems to me like that's rolling over. So I'm going to be boxing this little puppy right here at mid-band. You could also draw a trend line. Let's get rid of the lightning. You could draw a trend line underneath your lows. Use the object trader's little trend line tool. And if they roll through that trend line, we're going to be in that trade, or if they roll out of that box. Let's see if they do it. We're in. Everybody sees that, right? It didn't go to the 38. It doesn't have to, okay? But that is a mid-band rollover, okay? See the two bars right here, side by side? Our little trader will actually box those in just like this right here. Let me see if I can get that. Just like that. And you're in the trade, okay? Now, let's put our stop above the box just in case, okay? So we're willing to lose, well, if we're in at like say 23 or so, maybe 22, then we've got to still put our stop at this top of this box here. And since it's right at mid-band, I just put it at mid-band. Okay, let's see if it works. You're okay so far. That's making me a little nervous. I don't like that. What do y'all think? Let's stick it out. Went back in the box. An aggressive trader is going to put his stop right there at the top of that box. Okay, let's see if it gets it. Not yet. That's a good sign, hopefully. That's a lower high, but we need a lower low. Back in the box. Are they going to get us? If it closes above it, didn't close above it. That was close. That was close. See where we got it drawn? We do this all the time in the room, by the way, on that gold trade this morning and even the one on Friday. Okay, so you're still in, but see how they tried to check this swing? Let's see if they roll it over. There you go. Okay, so if you got in at like 23, you're at 17. You're not quite up enough yet. Let's see if it goes down. That should be your 10 ticks. Everybody see that? So what you're going to do is you're going to draw on your charts. Now, keep in mind that if we would have done the trend line, we would have still gotten in on that bar. So we felt some heat on that trade. Just a little bit of heat. Still didn't come to the 38% though. So they just don't always do that. And if you wait for that, you just missed a good trade. But that is a box in trade, and they didn't take us out. Now, could they have taken us out? I would have shorted them again in a heartbeat when they roll back through it. But what you want to be careful of is if you get in at say 23 and you put your stop at say 31 or 32, even just above this box or with the close of the bar, then you don't want to wait for this big box if they happen to fake you out and then they roll it. I would literally reshort the thing pretty much if let's say that it took you out. Let's just pretend it took out mid-band. Well, then if they rolled over at all with a bar, I'd probably be back in. Okay, but they didn't. They didn't take us out, so we're good. Everybody see that? Let's see where it goes. Still dilly-dallying around. Where would your stop be right now? Anybody? See how they wick that little swing right there? I usually put a stop just above there. And there's where you definitely want to take some profit right there, right when it gets to that line. Stop still in. You need a lower high. See how it's checking that yellow line we drew earlier? We drew that for a reason. See how it's a lower high? Checking our other yellow line. Remember, we drew that ahead of time too. One bar at a time. There's a profit target right there. You could go ahead and take some coin there. You could stay with this trade if you wanted to, okay? But keep in mind that that turned out to be a very, very good trade, boxing it in, okay? Otherwise, if you've been trading a long time, you have probably noticed that very seldom will they hit a Fibonacci exactly on the money and give you the trade. They'll usually miss them by a couple of ticks. They'll miss them by 3 or 4 ticks. You know, you'll think they're going to 61 and they'll go to 70. See what I mean? But they always do this. Let me just show you real quick. They always, let me get a chart here. Bear with me a second. I'm going to get a black chart again. Bear with me a second. And that was 19 or about 10:46 at night. Bear with me a second. I'm going to go back to that. 10:46. Bear with me a second. Got to get to 10:46, which is 22:46. Here we go. I just don't like the way Ninja actually does that. They won't let you go right back to where you were. I'm going to just draw it for you instead. I'm just going to get a blank screen because otherwise it's going to take me a little bit. But what you're looking for, okay, let's say that you're looking for a rollover type trade, okay, and you're going to get this little move, and then, it never fails. You'll get 2 bars up, and then possibly, like 1.5 down, like with a wick or something like that. But what you're looking at is you're looking for the rollover, okay, and you can usually see where they're going to roll it even by simply looking at your support area, like on a short, that is. Okay, so you're looking for this to quit stair stepping and then rolling over. Okay, so if I saw this and I saw, okay, I've got support right here, then I'm going to pretty much box this to where when they take that out, then it's going to start heading back down. Okay, because even on your lightning 1s and 2s, they will have these little swings that they'll hold. Okay, so you don't know, for instance, if it's going up a little bit more like this. Okay, let's say that it then pulled back and you didn't get in here and it decided to go ahead and go one more time. Let me see if I can get that drawn. And then it did this. Okay, you're still not heading up yet, but you can clearly see that you can actually draw a trend line on your chart under your lows. Okay, you can also see your support right here and also right here. You can kind of box this in like so. And if they decide to take this out, just short the thing, because that's what boxes do, and then what you end up doing is you get these trades that finally, instead of a higher low and a higher high, they'll finally start breaking as they roll over. You'll do something like this. You might get let me get that out of the way. Let's don't go higher right here. Let me get rid of that one. I'm going to redraw it. Trying to show you what really to look for. Let's say you get something like that, and then now all of a sudden, you're thinking, wow, it's going to go up, so I got it boxed in. But what if you then get a lower high, and that's a high, low, lower, high, lower, low, and they're taking out the swing to the left and everything. So guess what? You're boxing it in for this great move to the downside. Okay, this would be fairly on the conservative side because I like to look at fibs and everything, and I'll try to get this trade a little bit more in the middle of this box. That would be a little bit more aggressive, than waiting for it to break the swing itself. Lightning will actually change if it breaks the swing, but that's sometimes a little bit too late because what if they barely break it and then they pop up? So I like to get in it a little bit more when you see this lower high start even trying to head down again, and that would be a little bit more aggressive trade. But you can also simply draw. Let's say that this did this again right here, and you got another lower high again. Well, you're pretty much no brainer on this thing to start shorting it, right? Because it's going to finally break as it rolls over. It's already rolling over, high, low, lower, high, lower, low. So if they even try to head down, that's aggressive, but I'm going to be shorting that puppy. Okay. And if I'm wrong, I simply draw my box. I say, okay, You've got a high, low, lower, high, lower, low, so you better stay under my box. Okay, so I'm going to put my stop just literally right above that box. See? And you'll find that this works a lot more often than it doesn't. Because if you're right on your judgment on the call of the trade, then you're looking for this to quit making higher highs, right? At first, let's say it hits that 76.06. That's where we were, remember? We were right at 75.06, pardon me. You were right across this area right here when it bounced, right? So you got to wait for it to quit retracing. But then at the time, it's going to go, hey, that's as high as I'm going. And then it starts making a lower high and lower low. And you finally can literally get in that trade about the middle of the box if you're aggressive, and the bottom of the box if you're more conservative. Okay. But you still got to have the same stop. Because what if this was to decide that that's support right there and they decided to take this out? Well, this would be a loser trade if this happened like this, right? But you're stopped out and you go, well, I lost 7, 8 ticks on that one. Okay. But 9 times out of 10, you're going to find that, especially when you're in a short, okay, or a long. I mean, the whole thing is you're stair stepping, okay, because this is a stair stepping trade. Now, when they're flatlining, this rule goes out the window. Okay, this is a stair stepping type of a trade. Okay, you can clearly see that it's a stair stepping type of trade by going to the basically your regular chart. Okay, now I've spent about almost the whole evening on this, but I want to show you how you can see these trades that are called in the room because they set up the right way and everything. Okay, let me show you real quick. I'm going to go to regular data and disconnect this playback, and let's go over the trades that were called in the room, because it's very important that their trades are called, not that somebody says, wow, I'm up $1,000 or whatever. That's not the way we do it at Viper Trading Systems. Okay, so basically, let me get rid of the predictors, and you don't see the screen just yet. I'm going to put the template on. All right, bear with me a second. Well, Jim, on your question, you're basically going to be looking especially at stair stepping trades. Let me just show you what I'm talking about here. Just one second. Okay, real quick. Let's look at this right here. This was right when we were opening the room. Okay. This was on CL just when I was opening the room. Okay. So basically what you're looking at, let's see if this was when I opened the room. Bear with me a second. Yeah, that was when I opened the room. Hopefully Apex has got their act together here. Okay, so when I opened the room, I called this little short trade. Does anybody remember this right here? We boxed this little puppy in. Why were we going short here instead of long? Anybody? We got a stair-stepping midband. Our scripts are pretty good at this, okay? When they break, and see, it was breaking support here, it was breaking support here, and it was even testing the support here. See how it bounced and then rolled? Okay, so I called this little trade short right here, and we actually took that trade, okay? And that turned out to be a very decent little trade, right? But let me ask you a quick question. If you were trading and you saw, let's say for instance that you're trading and you start seeing higher lows and higher highs, okay? Then guess what? You're going to be looking the other way on these trades, okay? Because what happens, especially at the open of the market, they will give you these little fake outs, and you'll see this time and time again. If you trade continually, you're going to see it, okay? And so you're looking at your charts and you're saying, you know what? If this does this and starts stair stepping, then I'm going to draw my line in the sand long short on my charts. Okay. So that you can get some of these trades. Let me show you what I'm talking about here real quick, because we actually got this little trade right here. Now see this right here, this is a mid-band trade right here, right? Okay, but notice that you have a swing over here to the left. Now this is aggressive, okay? This is very, very aggressive. This is a low, this is a high, this is a lower low. This is right at where was drawing on the charts and everything. And if they decided to break this and pull back and kiss, we were going to actually look for very possibility of a long trade. Does anybody remember that trade this morning at all? Because these type of trades set up all the time. All right. Now see what happened. You have a low, a high, a higher low. So let me ask you a quick question. Could you box in a trade like this for that long? And the answer is yes. Yes, you can. Because what happens a lot of times, you're going to be watching for a low, a high, a higher low. Now, you don't know that's a higher low at first because at the time it's still stair stepping. That was a decent mid-band trade right there. Okay. And I'm sure that was called in the room too. Okay. So that was a little mid-band trade and it looks like it worked out for 10 ticks. Okay. But when you start seeing higher lows, they bounce off these bottoms and then they take this out right here. There's even some of our traders that are really aggressive that would take this. The moment it broke that trend line, I drew that trend line in the room this morning, if I remember right. Broke the trend line. So was it heading down or up? See how you can see that? Okay. Now, the beauty of trading our scripts, though, is that if you miss this trade, then you're looking for the pullback. Okay. And you can clearly see where your pullbacks are going to be with like our predictors, to give an example. You can see that. So if everybody will get to the point where they'll draw on their charts and see where these little trades are going to pull back, okay, and give you these nice little runs and everything, they're pretty amazing. Okay. Let me see if we've got any questions so far, because I want to answer any questions that people have also. So hit me up with any questions that anybody has. Here's an example right here. I want to show you this one. This was the one that I called right here. Now let me ask you a question to see if you could see this trade in real time, because this was called in real time. Okay. See the low, the high, the lower low. This is your aggressive area that if they break it, they're no longer heading down. Also, what you can look for when they check a low and they barely take it out, that is usually a trend change. Now, is it 99% of the time? No, but I see it a lot. You know, for instance, if you drew this little area right here and you said, you know what, you barely took that out, that's usually a trend change. Because if they're going to head down, they're going to respect the low, the high, the lower low, the lower high. But if they take this out right here, you're not looking for shorts anymore. Okay. Even though our stuff doesn't change right away, you're still not looking for shorts as much as you're looking for very possibly a trend change. Okay. Now watch what actually happened in real time. This little puppy just danced around mid-band just like so. Okay. That's what it did at the open. And then it busted up. See there? Now, this trade was actually called in the room. This was your high, this was your low, this was your lower high. This was an aggressive trade that was called right here, and we boxed that in. I actually boxed mine in on my Apex PA account right there instead, and I took it as it went back through 73. I think I got like 75 or 76, something like that. Okay, but can everybody see that that is a trend change right there? because if you can't see it, it's something that you got to train your eyes to see. Okay. And you can tell, let me just draw lightning on it real quick. You got a low, you got a high, you got a higher low, you got a higher high. And what did it do? It broke up and even kissed it. Those type of trades could really make a difference. And a lot of our people are very, very good at catching that trade. Now, keep in mind, if you didn't catch the trade, then you had to wait for the pullback. Okay. And the pullback was simply watching for predictors. Now, let me just show you here. See how this is stair stepping up, stair stepping up? Look at that predictor forming right there. Okay. Where's your line in the sand long short aggressive? Well, it's right across here. Okay. That doesn't mean you're going to short that though. That simply means that they may wick this area, come down to mid-band, but I would already be looking at this trade, and this was called out in the room too. There's 38% right there at mid-band. What do you think? I'd be looking for that mid-band right there. Definitely, wouldn't you? So let's see what actually happened. Went up a little bit higher, doing a high, low, lower high, not a lower low yet. Went up higher, didn't it? That's fine. They can go up higher. That's fine with us, right? Okay. So basically, that little trade that was called this morning in the room was a monster. Okay, because we didn't even get taken out of it. See your high, your low, your higher high. They never even took out that swing right there. And that's what, as a trader, that you're going to want to train your eye to see is when they hold those swings like that. Okay, little ABC, holds it, and off it went. Okay, so keep in mind that this type of trading is what we do every single day of our lives. It works. It really, really, really works. Can you see, for instance, like right here, you got a high, you got a low, you got a higher high, barely. Okay, look at your fib. Always check your fib. I can't do auto fib because we got more information on the other side. We're going to wrap here in just a minute, but let's just look at our fib and see where this might be going. Ah, come on. I hate that fib when it does that. All right. So we've got a 50% below mid-band. We got a 38% at mid-band. Okay, so this is our little sweet spot right here for a trade. Everybody see that? So let's see if we can get a trade. I know we did because I called this. See it bouncing out of your little box? Are you long? Absolutely you're long. So where's your target on this trade? Anybody? Well, look to the left to trade the right and you can see a swing there. You can see a swing right here. Look to the left to trade the right and say, okay, well, you're actually looking pretty good. 51's way up here. So draw on your chart. And let's see if it went any higher at all or if it's been heading down. It looks like that's going to be our high. Okay, so let's see if we can get that little puppy. We drew our box. No, it already went above and then it broke. See it right here, high, low, lower, high. This is your line in the sand long short right here. And this for sure is your line in the sand long short right there. Everybody see that? So what do you want to bet? It probably bounced off of support. That's a phantom trade right there. You'd be long. See if it works. Come back and test it. Come back and test again. And there's your target, right at resistance. Now your next target's right there. Got it. Next target's right here. Just look at your swings. Bazinga. See how that works? So did we change trends on this chart? No, they didn't take out our line in the sand long short. Okay, Now, did they take out the micro line in the sand long short? Yes, right here. Now that's an aggressive trader that actually will short that trade right there for 10 or 15 ticks. Actually, even right here, see your high, your low, your lower high, lower low. There's some traders that'll actually short it right there. I showed in the room this morning where I actually did short that trade, but I took it really quick. It's 120 bucks, one contract. Okay, so learn to really see these line in the sand long shorts on your charts, and you'll be amazed at how much better of a trader you'll get to be. And come into the room every day because that trade was called, that trade was called, that trade was called. Okay. All right. Thanks everybody for coming. Hope you enjoyed it. Went right at an hour and 1 minute. Let me see if there's any questions before. I do send recordings of this, John M. You'll be more than welcome to have it too. Why did you draw your fib starting at 75? Well, basically what you want to start your fibs at is your thrust. You want to kind of draw your fibs at your thrust. Like for instance, this thrust right here, that's pretty much a Fibonacci. Okay. Now, if you don't, you'll end up, missing out on some pretty good trades because your fib wouldn't be way down here. See, this was a thrust, a retrace, and a thrust. So to me, the fib starts right there. Okay. But keep in mind too, Fibonacci's as a rule will even kind of cluster. For instance, what would your fib have been down here at the low? Let's just see. Yeah, we'll remove all drawing objects. See your thrust and your retrace. Let's see if that fib would have done anything. Your 38% is right down here. They didn't quite come to it. But that's a phantom. And that trade was called. And lots of times, like even ES, for instance, they'll give you several opportunities to get into it. ES actually, real quick before we wrap, I'll show you ES. You had a phantom trade. Let me see if I can find where it was. Right across this area right here. See how your phantom boxed in? You got a great trade up to there. That was in the afternoon. No, never mind. That's still a good trade, by the way. There's another phantom trade right there. That was a little bit before the room opened. But there are trades all over. And watch these predictors because they're really good at getting them too. Okay. So we're going to do this again tomorrow. Hope everybody enjoyed the webinar because I try to always endeavor to make sure that people see the trades that our scripts will show you. And you can draw on your charts and, you can tell in real time where these trades are too. Okay. See your high, your low, your lower high. See your swing over here to the left. Is that actually pretty much breaking down? Yeah. Yeah. So you're looking for that short there. Okay. All right. Thanks everybody for coming. Hope you enjoyed it, and we'll do it again for real tomorrow. And the recording won't be out tonight. It takes about an hour and a half to render it, but I will put it out tomorrow, even on an email for people that came in on trial this week, and it'll be in the members area, obviously. And I'll even put it on the trial link too. Thanks everybody for coming. See you in the morning. Bye everyone. Don't forget, if you do want an Apex 90% off, it ends tonight in about 2 hours and 56 minutes. Okay, so if you do want something like that, that's a pretty cheap price. All right, thanks everyone.